to.
Hey, it's Den, the first mate of the last arc, and you're watching TLA breakdown the brief One Piece spoilers for 11:20 until the long spoilers drop in about an hour, and then we'll get into them, and we'll have all the details to unpack from there. There's some pretty spicy drops already in the brief, particularly regarding Clover. A lot to unpack from that. We've got some spicy theorists with us as well today, so we're going to do our thing. One Piece is pretty much at its peak right now, and this week we've got a longer chapter than we've been getting recently, unveiling a pretty important flashback with Vegapunk. So make sure you jump in the Discord if you haven't already, ask any questions in the YouTube chat, make sure you're subbed, and let's get into it. Kube, over to you with the intros, brother.
Of course. So first of all, let's introduce the people that we have today. So we have the TLA's Frontline Combatant, NoChillDill. What's up, man?
Whoa, what up, people? We're here for some spoilers. So if you aren't part of that, we don't take any offense to it. Just drop a like, and we'll see y'all next time whenever we're not covering spoilers. But for the people that do enjoy the spoilers, oh my God, do we got a spicy chapter this week?
Yeah.
Lucas is not watching this.
Yeah, and I've been we just started streaming. I've been bombarded by my phone. Apparently, people are upset that I did not introduce first the first mate, then Kushi. So then tell the people where they could find you.
I'm on YouTube. I talk about. I'm on YouTube. I talk about stuff that hasn't happened yet in One Piece, but it might happen. Probably not, or definitely will. So spoilers are kind of important to a One Piece theorist, isn't it? So anyway, on to the next.
Yeah, and obviously with crazy spoilers in TLA, there's only one navigator that can help us through this crazy storm, and that's 3-Day Trip. What's up, 3-Day?
Hey guys. I do post spoilers, but that Bill does it too, so don't blame me if they're ever wrong. Blame me.
Hey, I only post the good ones and the very, very obviously meme ones on April Fool's Day. But those are very rare and jarred people.
Just playing, I'm playing. You can find me on Twitter, Reddit, and on the Discord. Join up to get the full spoiler summary here soon.
Yeah, some YouTube videos as well on the Den Kushi channel from 3-Day. And they're spicy theories.
And
or
guys,
more like future sight.
We've got also a special someone here. It's directly sent by Emperor Ivankov from the Queen of Kamabaka Kingdom. The next queen, the princess of Kamabaka Kingdom, Nak. What's up, man?
Hey, how's everybody doing today? I'm not even going to comment on it.
I would like to clarify the slander for the record. It is Kamabaka Queendom, not Kingdom.
Queendom. It's true, Queendom. It's true. Sorry, Nak.
Thank you, Dill.
Thank you, Dill. Nation.
Much respect, Dill.
So yeah, guys.
That was emotional. Okay, so Nak, thank you for streaming as well. How, we'll start with you basically. Like, before we get into the actual details of the spoilers, like, how are you feeling about this, what you've seen so far? Are you happy with it? I won't tell the people what your first reaction was, but you're welcome to if you want.
Well, no, that's fine. We don't need to bring that up right now. The first thing I hit on, though, is the mention of Clover being a D member. And the additional spice that came with that after, but we can get into that when we start getting deep. This is what I like. One Piece versus getting more of the history in the background more than anything. It's my favorite part. So. Yeah, the punches are
like
fine,
you say that extra detail we got as well just adds another layer to it, like a confusion. So yeah, we'll get into that in a sec. Has everybody else here seen all the TLA gang? You've all seen all the brief spoilers already. You saw them a while ago, correct?
Yep.
Okie dokie. So we're just waiting for the long ones now. Okay, so let me just pull them up, and unless somebody's already got them up, if they'd like to read the
I got
first
them up. I
line,
can
and
start
then
with
we'll
the
break it down.
I'm sure Sride has a tattoo on her body by now.
My gosh. Well, for the chapter cover, let's start with this. Chapter 1120, named Atlas. Chapter cover.
Okay, pause.
Denjiro catches the kids that threw rocks at Yamato. Beat them little kids' ass. Vegapunk and Clover flashback and Punk Hazard. Punk Hazard. Ooh, Clover went to Punk Hazard. Clover
Yeah.
mentioned that he also bears the name D to Vegapunk.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, we definitely got to, because like that would be
That
one of the
can't
many
be
times
overlooked.
that Clover was captured. Why would he have gotten
Mm.
sent to Punk Hazard?
Well, interesting thought. You want to know something?
I never
The
considered that.
The flashback of Will of Ahar is after Clover is unalived, and it's still called the Punk Hazard Institute. And naming, we never got it. And what's an institute? A place where you have scholars. So I do wonder if that's why that could have been at a time where Punk Hazard might not have been completely world government.
Might have been teaching science to the world.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
And at O'Hara, and the scholars of O'Hara did say that the government found out where we were hiding, means that the scholars weren't from O'Hara. So could be maybe some of them came from the Punk Hazard Institute at one point with Clover.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise. Oops, sorry, 3 Day Karen.
No, I'm just saying I like that. It's great.
Yeah, it really wouldn't surprise me if when we go to Elbath as well, we see like science, like Kube's been talking about like MADS and stuff like that for a long time, and like there must be more to MADS, and Elbath seems like a place where we're going to get a lot of that stuff. So maybe there's institutes, maybe there's a few institutes around the world, and like we know it's very thematic of Oda to have good things turned into bad things, right? So I like the idea of Punk Hazard being an educational facility or something, and then being demonized or like turned bad, you know.
And actually, I do have something because I did some research on the weekend on Punk Hazard. Actually, the place where all of the explosion happened, that's where Caesar could build his secret poison bomb room, gas room, is actually called the Third Research Institute, which is interesting.
So it's kind of like the different divisions or like winged areas of Punk Hazard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which is interesting. So.
Well,
I mean,
a clarification for this one is Clover is from a different line of the D family. Note, this means Clover is not among the D families that were mentioned revealed so far. Clover's D family line would be the 9th in the series.
Yep.
So this leads me to like we had a brief conversation already about it with what the possible names could be. Before I saw that, I thought it might be Nico, but obviously it's not. It's going to be unless that's what they mean by a new line, or they say it's a new line and they don't give his full name. But somebody, I think it was Calm and Reasonable yesterday in the Discord, said about it being Clover D World, and I think that is interesting because of what O'Hara represents and the fact the chapter is called Atlas, and then Atlas is a globe, right? A map or a world.
Atlas held up the world in mythology.
Held up the world, right?
Exactly.
For when the gods fought the Titans, Atlas was for.
It's actually interesting.
Yeah, upholding the world seems like a relevant concept.
The book that obviously my Garp Rocks agenda, that the name Garp comes from. The only book comes from the world according to Garp, and the One Piece movie that seems to connect more to God Valley. The villain in it is called Birdie World, and it's an old guy and create cubes, poneglyphs. So it kind of makes you think the term "world" in his name can make sense actually. A lot.
Yeah, particularly with like poneglyphs and stuff, and like the idea like of the poneglyphs having like the true history of the world.
Yeah.
I also don't think you can rule out Nico because that would still technically be a new D family we don't know of.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe she just doesn't know.
Yeah, or they don't know. But it seems like it's like when we spoke about the Nico thing before, right? It seems like a very older way to drop that Robin is a D member through something like that, through some subtle, shuffle over there, rather than being like, "You're a D, Harry." You know what I mean? I just see it being more like that. So I'd be happy if it was Nico, but it could be, like we say, something totally crazy because it's a new D family, or I don't know. I just expect it to be something that already has context.
I think a lot of these D families are gonna end up being connected back to Joy Boy's crew.
Yeah.
I also agree. They're
Like we
the
might get
will of the
one
destiny.
more D family, and that'd be it then.
Actually, it's interesting because you know how I've had that take. What if Clover and Roger were father and son? Because they have a similar way to have their expression, and I just find two people who inspire people. This with that idea, it could make sense. Even maybe why even Roger might even have a different name. Like this could be a completely brand new name. It could be the whole Roger situation of Clover, even before his name had to be changed, even before Roger's name had to be changed.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, particularly if it's Nico or something like that. Like it could be changed.
And he was most wanted criminal before Roger was.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be anything like Gol or nothing like that. Or Gold.
No, because then let's say I'm right,
way
and
too distinct.
If let's say that he is indeed Roger's father, with that same logic with Ace, he would have been most likely Gold might have even been his mother's name, and Clover had a different last name, because that's a moniker.
Mhm.
Same thing with the same thing with Dragon. No one knew Dragon's connection because no one even said his last name. Now I want to connect to Garp, and also his family. So he went by the name Dragon. So it could be similar with Clover, He adopted that name for some reason, or they changed it.
And to strafe briefly, a lot of us have been, pretty worried for Atlas as a character, and now we have this chapter that's called Atlas. Are we expecting to have more about Atlas in this chapter? Do you think, or anything like that? Because we're
I
expecting
thought you
her.
were gonna say.
death.
Do you think we're gonna get any more Atlas after this chapter? Because that's how I'm feeling.
Well,
So
I mean,
I can
it's
answer
open
that
to
by
interpretation.
reading the next portion of the spoilers for you, Mr. Din Din Kushi.
Let's go ahead.
Oh, let's do it.
Back to the present, Atlas arrives at the Sunny, confronts Nostro to let the Sunny escape. We have clarification on this one as well. Atlas knocks out Lilith so York can't detect her. Atlas grabs Nostro and flies away with her jetpack and detonates herself to buy time for the Straw Hats. At the end, Vegapunks have one more part. I guess second one got cut off.
She done.
She's done. And before we break it down, I do want to say, for anyone who really nerds this community out, they will know that a few people over the past year have been saying about one of the satellites blowing themselves up and stuff as a sacrifice. I think we even spoke about in one of our older streams about Atlas doing it, detonating herself. But yeah, anyway,
It says,
interesting.
at
Spoiler.
the end, Vegapunks has one more part of the message. That's what the Seymour part of that message is.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
I was wondering, each family of D could specialize in something. Let's say O'Hara, Clover's family may be the archaeologist side, but that may also mean that Blackbeard came from O'Hara.
Yeah, or a
Actually, the
branch,
two
maybe.
men of O'Hara.
Interesting.
I
It
think it's
is
from
weird that
Winter Island.
Vegapunk said, right, this is so weird. When they first met the main Stellar and he was doing his speech about Clover, he did not say Clover's name. And he said all them rumors about him wanting to destroy the world were nonsense. We've never heard anyone say that stuff about Clover before, and it sounds just like Zebek and Blackbeard. So imagine if maybe Clover is related to Blackbeard or something like that.
That would be so out of
That
the
might have
box,
been
really.
him hinting that Clover was a D, though. He might have been getting ahead of it by saying, "Yeah, he never wanted to destroy the world," knowing that the D is to destroy the world, or to bring about the fall of the celestial dragons, the enemy of the gods, all of that. He was like, yeah, he didn't even want to do that, but it didn't make sense at the time. But now, looking back, why didn't he want to destroy the world if he was a D member?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he just wanted to expose the ones at the top.
I mean, for me, the same logic of Blackbeard and Clover, same logic as Roger and Clover, but just there's something weird about Clover and Roger. They look so similar. They have the same way. They have the same exact expression. And the people of O'Hara left the same year as as Roger. But what do you guys think of Blackbeard? Might also have some lineage with the Celestials.
Yeah.
Because it seems the way Saturn
really
talks about
emo.
it, he seems to know something, especially about his family line.
Yep, it wouldn't
That could
surprise
also
me at
be
all.
Yeah, that could be going back to O'Hara too, back to Clover, knowing his lineage.
Yeah.
Or he could be both half D-Clan and half Celestial Dragon.
I think we're gonna find out because they used to be. I think because they used to be one group, it would make sense, the way it's written. They're the long-lived tribes that are feuding, the D and the Celestials. But yeah, it's Hello?
No, we're
what
still
It's
here.
an interesting one.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh, Dead End's back. Okay.
Very interesting.
Ending for the mirror.
Yeah, I was
There's a lot of
cut.
implications.
Yeah.
He was a Luciad.
It's funny
Could you
because we
you
just
couldn't hear
tried to
me
do it
before?
fast.
No.
We couldn't hear you right back on because it's so intriguing having another D member.
Yeah, I was saying like that I'm guessing you couldn't hear me, but like it's super fascinating that idea that like Clover what was his intentions? Because if he is a D member, that means he's probably got some agenda or something. They all usually do.
Maybe it was just to expose the true history, to let the world decide with what knowledge they could use.
The will of
and then
O'Hara,
Cube,
the will of D.
Cube mentioned about like Clover and Roger and their resemblance, and that's kind of weird because like there is distinctly a resemblance between Robin and Ace and Dragon. Which is weird. That's Luffy's dad, Luffy's not blood brother, and then Robin. So there's all this. Maybe they're all just the D. Yeah, maybe they're all different lines of one original family or something.
And it's weird. The last group of O'Hara that went on expedition was Nico Olivia, and they leave the exact same year as Roger, and they said Roger goes back to the Grand Line, meaning that he was in one of the four blues. I think that's the statement in the Viva card.
Just as if they bonked. They both bonked and then they both left, which sounds weird, but it does seem like the case.
Yeah.
It does.
But the Blackbeard stuff, that's how I don't want to discredit it, because there is something, and I do think O'Hara, if he's not from O'Hara, so they dropped the idea, I'm pretty sure in O'Hara, they must have information on his specific lineage. It wouldn't shock me.
What
Because
if
there's something off about Blackbeard. We know that. Ever since Saturn dropped big chance it could be Buccaneers, because Saturn seems to be obsessed with that specific race. But if it's something else, O'Hara must have the answer on Blackbeard.
I think Nak asked about the Celestial Dragons and Blackbeard, and it's like probably the Gorosei even more like close to Blackbeard, because the Gorosei seem to have this like mixture of abilities, right? Which is what's going on with Blackbeard. He's got like this what people assume 3 fruit situation.
And it's weird, but don't you find it weird the way they write, they talk even about Blackbeard after Marineford? Seems that it's also very hard to go after. It kind of makes you think that there's a reason why Blackbeard seems, and the only people who are like Blackbeard, nonchalant, the way the government talk about, were Shanks and Doflamingo, who were former Celestial Dragons. So I wonder if there's something in his lineage, given how the Gorosei talked about after Marineford. No one could do anything. The only thing is possible if it's someone from his own old crew, like Marco. Like, guys, you guys are the Gorosei. And for some reason, when he was not even a Yonko, they had obstacles about going after Blackbeard. It's too late now. And I wonder if it's because of his lineage. Maybe certain people, celestial dragons, even though he's not he doesn't live with them, they would take that as an insult, you know. They can't just attack someone who has celestial lineage. That could explain why he seems to be, if he knows that, that could explain why he seems to be nonchalant about everything. Just like the Flamingo Shanks.
We got
That was a
into
lot.
it a few months. Yeah, a couple months ago, we got deep into this. In a VC, Ace was there. We got deep into the idea that Blackbeard has an inside man or has some connection to the Celestial Dragons because of all the information he knows. Like, he must have some source of information that they have, or they are his source somehow. So,
I just
yeah,
shared in the
completely
channel that when Blackbeard first sees the Seraphim and he recognizes all their traits, implying that he already knows what a Lunarian is before the Seraphim were even made.
Yeah, you did post that the other day as well. Yeah, spicy.
And he immediately, if you think about it, the moment he read the newspaper article about the Shishibukai, he knew exactly what the world government were gonna go, why they wanted to go after Hancock's fruit again. You know. I mean, if you think about it, no one would expect him to try to get that fruit, and he just wanted the government not to have it. He didn't care that he didn't get it.
Yeah,
Right, that's exactly
and
what he said, pulling up. You think
the
I'd let the
Gomu's
world
very-
government get...
yeah, the Gomu is very sought after, right? Like a highest bounty of any fruit except for the Opie as well. And the Yami seems connected to the Gomu, and they do not seem to give a sugar about the Yami. You know, we got some of the boys in the chat.
Yeah, so it's,
The other elders attacks Emmett to stop the broadcast and destroys one of its arms.
ooh.
Why the arm, do you think? Oda's a bit cheeky like that. Like, it seems like a relevant detail.
Yep, it's significant.
Saturn lost one of his legs whenever Kuma punched him. And
Yeah,
So we got
that's-
Shanks.
stabbed
Big.
through his section.
But don't forget, we know that Mars remembers him from the attack 200 years ago. They could have seen stuff that we haven't seen yet, and for some reason they need to get rid of the arm. You know.
That's
was an attack.
exactly what, like, the vibe I'm thinking. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's that's interesting. Yeah.
Like you see that in sport all the time. When you know a certain athlete's way of playing, what do? You do everything to avoid him from. It's like, you know, let's take down the quarterback, because if Tom Brady is able to do that pass to this person, they're gonna play that game and it's over. We're not able to stop them. So let's get rid of the arms first.
He did
Don't
just
tell him
punch off a
anything.
toss to War 3 too.
Yeah.
I'd have that happen again.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I think it's interesting that the Gorosei, like, we know that we haven't seen the God's Knights yet, and the more we go down this like Egghead arc, the more I start to think the God's Knights are more combatively like capable than the Gorosei, because the Iron Giant is taking on 4 Gorosei or something, right? Like, it's like that. You would think if we would have spoken about this a year or two ago, you'd think a robot would just get absolutely one shot by a Gorosei member, but apparently not. Literally have to
And
take
do
him apart
damage?
piece by piece. Yeah.
Luffy hasn't done any damage to him.
Yeah. True.
also, but actually, then there might have been a moment where we didn't know, but they were holy knights with Celestial Dragon. In Goa Kingdom 12 years ago, when the Celestial came, we barely saw them leave the ship. There were a lot of people, and some of them didn't look to be Marines. And that would have been, if they could do the hunting games, it would have been exactly a year before they were supposed to do the next one. They're supposed to be one 11 years ago. Those native games, hunting games.
Yeah.
So that remember, and they said that the Celestials are making a year tour of the world. And I'm wondering if it was the Holy Knights with the Celestial Dragon looking for a new hunting game
Mm.
area.
So
And
it
at one
might
point, they
be
were looking at
that,
Goa Kingdom.
or there's another point of the Celestials going around touring other kingdoms to find out which ones could become world government
Yeah.
affiliated, like the ones that had the monetary to fund their the heavenly tribute and could actually have the decent population of their island be able to join the world government, because that's what the whole reason for them burning down the area around the Goa kingdom was to get rid of all of the impurities that they didn't want the world government to see.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we never saw, other than that Celestial Dragon, we didn't really see who is one of the only times we don't see their entourage. So what if among them were Marines and Holy Knights as well? It was an interesting theory back then that came out. It was weird. Like there was something more on that ship. Like, they just wanted us to know the Celestials came to Goa Kingdom just after the attack.
Well, you gotta remember, because right afterwards, whenever Sabo had left the kingdom and Steli ended up becoming the king of that kingdom, they became a Reverie or
Yeah.
Reverie affiliated nation.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like definitely there was something on that trip.
Strange.
So wait, I'm reading the other
Yeah.
just to be sure.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the other spoilers as well.
Yeah, me too.
It's a it's like a funky chapter. Like there's all sorts of weird stuff going on. But
We do
so
get
what do we think?
clarification of the end of last chapter, where we were saying that MF was hearing Joy Boy's words. He says, MF says the time is right, so he will use that.
Yeah, what do we think that is? I'm fascinated. Like, and then
The way to
just
damage them.
just to preface it, like we just had that conversation about them cutting off his arm. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe the arm is relevant to him using that, whatever that is.
I think it'll lower his output of it, but I think it's a way to damage them. And it doesn't know like that it only damages the Gorosei, but it's gonna be something that's like almost like the shield breaker or the fucking tank buster Hulk shit. Like that.
I see
Like
what you mean.
Iron Man
Like it'll
suit.
make them vulnerable.
Yeah, like almost like he's able to just constantly emit a level of hockey that we haven't seen yet, almost.
Well,
Yeah.
Indian, I know you have a theory on this. When the ancient robot broke Warcry's horn, doesn't that mean you was talking about how that happened to
Yeah,
the giants, other giants?
Yeah,
stuff?
so we see broken horns in like a lot of myths, but particularly in One Piece now because we've had so much of it. And like we saw it when Luffy was riding Lucy the bull, and Haradas like attacked them. It broke when Luffy came off the bull, it broke Lucy's horn. When Big Mom flipped Ja Rule, she broke his horn. She literally flipped the system. You know, she was a child that took their chief down in one blow. And we saw when we first saw the Iron Giant, it had a broken horn. We see it all with oars as well. So when he, breaks, who was it? It was the Hoki, right? The Hoki horn.
Bottom
Then that signifies that that's Joy Boy's forces coming back into power, coming back on top. But I don't know, like it seems fascinating, particularly with what it could be. We spoke a little bit about it being something to do with Uranus, or I don't know, it just seems weird. Like
it kind of makes you think of, and it's interesting because in some lores, sirens who are written to be like devilish, their weakness is sound wave. You know that the fork that they drop they do like a vibration thing, and actually in campus say that can't even use their thing. And the fact that the Iron Giant, who's been there for so long, right, seems that Vegapunk easily could use it to broadcast it, right? What if this whole system of sound relaying message in the past as well has always been used like RDD2 in the past as well? What if it can create like a sonic sound and can specifically affect the yokai forms of the Gorosei. Weaken them.
I think like that personally was my first instinct, and that's kind of what Dill's saying, right? Like that there could be this like a big wave, like an EMP, and it just makes the Gorosei vulnerable. But the reason why I didn't go down that line and look into it more was because why is that time dependent? Whatever it is seems to be time dependent. You know what I mean? It like he couldn't use it 200 years ago. It had to be now.
It has to be. It has to be most likely whatever he's supposed to do. He can only do it once, right? It had to be that when he was sure that either Joy Boy or the Suicha weapons are active. You know what I mean? Like the time is right. Because they keep saying the time is right. It makes me feel like they've got one chance and then he can never use that again. Once per.
Maybe it's to do with Nika.
Yeah.
Or like to do with
What I
the
was gonna
G5.
bring up is because like if Emeth is hearing the heartbeat, the drums of liberation, what he associates to Joy Boy, and he is directly correlating like there for him, it's almost like there's no time from the last time he was activated to him being activated whenever Luffy went into Gear 5th. So it's almost like the direct continuation of the message from Joy Boy is, hey, use this when the time is right, and then the next time he pops up, oh, this must be the time.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, actually, think about it. No one knew about the Iron Giant, right? How it works. The Gorosei were sure that no one has awakened there for the 800 years. That means there was no drum of liberation, for what we know. Maybe they were talking about a form they were seeing the potential of Luffy if he keeps going that route. So maybe the awakening form they talk about isn't that we're seeing. It's just, the base form. It's not what that we're talking to. But if let's say that's the case, right? What if basically the last 200 years ago there was a Joy Boy with the drums of liberation, gave one final order and then died, and so he can only act on that last order, can't do anything else, and so he needs to wait until Joy Boy is back, and it took 200 years for another Joy Boy to appear.
Like the Will of Dreams or Will of Fire in the server in the chat said bomb or self-destruct. Now that could be time relevant because, like you say, it could be like with Marijois, he couldn't do that. He could have walked up to the top of Marijois, but then couldn't trigger it because there was no Joy Boy around. But now he can do it, and just do this massive explosion, which might let out, like you say, like a wave of something.
There's some kind of plan that they had, and it seems like even 800 years ago they had knowledge of the future. So he's been waiting all this time. There's some kind of plan that they had between themselves. I just don't know what exactly it is.
I mean, when sorry.
No, you're good. I was just agreeing because like there's evidence of this plan being etched on the poneglyphs too, because Odin realized it was 20 years away. Roger realized he was too early. They had to write it down on the poneglyphs that this was the time where something was going to happen.
Yeah.
But there has to be also a signal for Emeth to realize that he's in the right time, because 200 years ago he didn't do whatever this is.
And also, Whitebeard said to Blackbeard, "You're not the man Joy Boy's waiting for."
Roger's waiting for.
obviously.
Yeah. Joy Boy wasn't name drop. He said Roger. No. Yeah.
Wait, Rogers.
You're not the man Roger was waiting for.
Yeah, exactly. Which again implies like
Roger was the one
time
that said we're too early. It's not our time, which would be the next Joy Boy's time, and he got told, "Hey, you're not the next Joy Boy."
That's what Kata was waiting on too. So waiting, yeah.
So when Roger says, "I wish I could have lived in your time," do you think he's talking 800 years ago, or do you think he's talking
20 years from now?
It
could be both. I think the story that's written on there is what he was saying. Oh, I wish I could have seen what the world was like then. But it's also him looking forward to being like, damn, I know I'm not gonna live till then, but I wish I could see what it's like then. Once the world's free of this world government hold over it and all that.
And if everything's truly a cycle, Dill is right. It can be both because the events he's talking about in the past, if it's a cycle, are also events that haven't happened in this cycle. Like the 3 days talk about they predicted the future, but is it really predicting the future if everything seems to repeat itself? And thanks to Clover Vegapunk, now people are aware of it. You know what I mean? It's like it kind of makes you think of the
It's
meta
it's
aspect of predicting the future if you know what's gonna happen.
It's
Well,
like somebody
yeah,
living
well,
in like the age of Capricorn and saying, I wish I lived in the age of Pisces." It could have been Pisces before, or it could have been Pisces afterwards. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's not
Or it's gonna
exactly
be
predicting the future, but knowing the timeline, like of a rebirth. Like Poseidon was every 100 years, and maybe Joy Boy actually showing up was every 80 years or 800 years. Once it lined up,
Yeah,
they knew that it was going to happen in this time frame.
yeah.
That certain
it
people would
doesn't
die.
like it doesn't. You
more of
don't
a
have like it
prophecy than
doesn't
a
have to
prediction.
be 20 years. It does it like that's why he's saying Joy Boy's time, like because he's not saying, I wish I could have been born 20 years ago, or 20 years in the future, or 780 years ago. Instead, he's saying Joy Boy's time. So, like you say, it's more thematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could
That's
be
good, bro.
him of the past and being like, "Hey, this is kind of cool,"
It
or
also seemed like Odin and
whatever
Toki knew
happens.
of somebody showing up in 20 years.
Yeah.
Because they specifically
Yeah.
sent the scabbards ahead 20 years, and Odin left in his journal that prepare to open the borders for Joy Boy in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
There had to be some sort of prediction in there, but like a prophecy isn't a prediction either. Like a prophecy is given down from the gods, and it can manifest in many different ways. Like I would be surprised if Blackbeard is fulfilling a lot of this prophecy in his own way.
Yeah. It kind of makes you think of
Yeah,
what
playing his
what
role.
information those like Toki obviously is direct, right? But let's say Clover and Vegapunk finds for the poneglyph. What if it's written like the Game of Thrones books, like we were talking the other day, like a history book? Instead of someone writing his life story, is written in dates and events, right? And if let's say the dates don't fit, but certain events, like there will always be a Marineford before a Dressrosa arc. There will always be a Strela Bark after Ennis Lobby, Water 7, So some people like Blackbeard knows that there's an event happening around Winter Island just after a certain event in Wano. If Luffy fails, he would have got himself to Wano, but Luffy succeeded. So maybe that's why he said, it seemed to be that story. You know what I mean? Like it could be if people are aware of how it was in the past and also how the way they described the Void Century. They said the Void Century is a time where the events of 100 years was completely wiped out. No information. It makes me think of Dressrosa. Like it wasn't just information. People just forgot. So with that logic, if people keep forgetting, and it's a cycle, if people are able to write it down and find it, you can actually
I
prophesy
think
stuff.
like there's going to be micro and macro to what you're saying as well, but I think that is exactly what Oda's going to do. I think when we were in Little Garden, we saw dinosaurs and prehistoric, like all this stuff, and there was volcanoes there, and they said every 1,000 years the volcanoes erupt, and we know that like underwater volcanoes, when they
Yeah.
release their magma, they release pyrobloin that creates sea stone and stuff like this. And that would create a displacement of land, which creates flooding, right? So you just get this whole like absolute mass flooding and everything resets every 1,000 years. But there does seem to be this in micro as well, where like in the present day, we've got the Egghead incident. 38 years before that, we had the the God Valley incident. And 38 years before that, we had the situation with Carmel where she freed the giants. So in some mysterious locations. So there does seem to be like a global
Mm-hmm.
like shifting event every set amount of time in
Well,
revolutions, right? So
what if one of the ancient weapons actually caused volcanoes to erupt, and that was part of the flooding for the Void Century?
I think it's that the ancient weapons made them erupt in a way more than they ever have done before, which is
Right.
like if
We
Emu
talked
is
about
an
in
Earth
the.
god, that
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
sorry,
you
no,
off there. Go ahead.
no, Karen, brother.
Oh, I was going to say we were talking earlier, like about the idea if the eternal flame Vegapunk mentioned was cooled down in the sea, and was just constantly evaporating water up into the white sea. That it got to the point where it was so dense the sea clouds just collapsed, and that was the global flood.
We see something like that in Egghead as well.
Wheel of Dreams theory in my mind. I'm just gonna shout them out in the chat.
Yeah, basically we're talking about specifically emperor clouds, fossil clouds. What if that's what the gourds are using? And the way that maybe emperor clouds were made, fossil clouds, is basically they're clouds that were deprived of all their resources. And the other clouds who got too much resources, it's like a sponge. What happens to a sponge when it's filled with too much water? Before it starts exploding in your hand, it gets very, very heavy. It's like it's its own pressure is pushing against you. That was the idea of Wheel of Dreams that we were talking about. That's how the
This
flooding
would
started.
explain
Total
it would explain how you get places like Balloon Terminal, like
Yeah.
clouds that are their own separate environments that are like highly charged in a certain energy or element. Like,
Yeah, and this would explain why they connected the person doing that as something similar. Crocodile also had a planet called Planetopia to rule over the world. Like, this is maybe how the Gorsei started it all, playing with clouds. And then there were some consequences, but, took to their advantage.
but
very
I'm still
interesting.
fascinated by this Clover situation and what we said about Blackbeard, that he might have connections to Blackbeard, or what is this family name?
I got
It's
one
weird.
question for you.
Yeah.
Do we know Sabo's name, family name?
Nope.
Is he going to be considered an actual D member? Like one of the 9 families?
Bro, it's Saudi Bo.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
Sabo's
first of all,
related to Clover,
yeah.
and he's actually a real D. And it was fate that he met Ace and Luffy.
I mean, I did tell you that if Luffy's mom is originally from Amazon Lily, there's a big guess that Sabo's side of the family might come from Amazon Lily, because if I've told people the way they look actually each other, Oda went away away to give more physical resemblance between Sabo and Luffy than Ace and Luffy.
What if
I'm hoping
Sabo
they'll
has
be
the same
12.
name
Yes.
as Clover?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to hint towards. Like, he's a real D. Like, he's actually part of the D clan, even though he thinks he just got the name from Ace and Luffy.
Yeah, like my whole thing is as well as, what if Sabo was brought to Guard Kingdom around the same time as Luffy, and they might have they might have been part of that. What happened 19 years ago? Because in the same year, that's where Hancock is captured and taken to slavery. But both Luffy obviously saved by Dragon or Garp, right? But Sabo is a male, and Hancock's a female. Maybe there are different stuff you do between men and female. Maybe the females are supposed
Weird,
to be,
man.
sent to
Weird.
Celestials. Yeah, and maybe the men are
Yeah.
supposed to send to be kings and noblemen in different families.
Oh, that would be.
Also, like,
Yeah.
Sabo's like a single title. Clover's a single title, and I know that's a reach, but seems like very fitting when you do think about like that.
Sabo was
they could
born
be
the same
related.
year as Clover is dead. If you think about it as well, he's 22 years old.
And they're
O'Hara.
both blonde.
Wait, didn't he have green hair, Clover?
Clover did, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the anime, he has green hair.
It's really like.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's still.
Doesn't he have?
Yeah.
Doesn't it go like blondish? But yeah, either way, it's not like.
I think he had blonde
Sabo
hair
has
as a
green hair.
youngster, but I can't confirm that.
But like as well, like what if Luffy's mom at the time, and what's called Sabo's, like, because I think he was adopted the same way, because he doesn't look like his 2 birth parents, and when they got rid of Sabo, they rapidly replaced him. That doesn't seem to be unconditional love, like it's the actual kid. Feels like it's a kid that the government gave them. It could be that Luffy's mom and Sabo's family could at one point been at O'Hara, because Dedu has brought up how the people of O'Hara seems to be smiling a lot, similar to Luffy as a child that he eats Gumu. Like, what if they have some origin to that as well? Because Sabo was born the exact same year as the O'Hara event.
Interesting. That's interesting. Like, that ties to Clover.
And that's the birth. That's also the birth location of the Revolution Army, where he's now the number 2. Like that's a
The only other
lot.
the only two people that I can think of that have green hair are Gaimon and Greenball. And the thing that's interesting with Greenball is he is when he came into Wano, it was flying using a clover. It was a helicopter, like a clover that was spinning around, like
Yeah.
to make a helicopter.
Yeah, you call him Greenball. I'll say this and I'll saw this. I'm calling this Beto Betty's brother that she doesn't talk to anymore. Dude, the resemblance and how they use their different abilities and the way they use it is crazy.
Interesting.
But yeah. So it seems that it's interesting, but so it goes to the take that Moog and Deden had a while back about if Mother Caramel is still in control of Big Mom, like she did something with her fruit, and that's what the giants were alluding to. With this, spoilers, it does prove to point out same thing as sugar. If it's that fact, it means Mother Caramel always has to be active, because you saw what they said about the only way to have York not see Lilith is to knock out Lilith to make her sleep. Like there's no brainwave, so can't say anything. So it kind of makes you think that by that logic, we could think that maybe the force jailers of Impel Down, right? The awakened jailers, the force awakened ones. What if actually it's because their human side is still sleeping, like Sleeping Beauty?
Dormant.
Yeah, they never wake up.
Or it's been subdued by the power of the fruit.
Yeah.
Can I just you just said something and it makes me. I got a question, right? York was explicitly said to eat and sleep for the crew.
Yeah.
Characters that are associated with eating a lot are like Luffy and Bonnie, right? And they're shown sleeping, right, when they like pass out from their abilities. And these are people that are known for dreaming and imagination. So do we think it's relevant that we've never seen any of the Seraphim sleep except for York, which was the first time we ever saw her, right? And she can dream, and then she's the one that betrays them. Do you understand where I'm coming from here?
Yeah.
She dreams of her greed.
So none of them can dream, and the one that can dream just happens and also eats, right? And it's got its own role, which suggests that Oda's doing something with it intentionally.
I mean,
then she dreams and then betrays them. That's that's weird.
I mean, no, actually, if you think it's very logical, think about this, right? We know dreamers in real life. How many times we've seen dreamers talk more about their dreams than actually doing stuff, and they could do a lot of stuff to advance their dreams, but they just prefer dreaming about it. Well, it's because York had no other choice but to start dreaming because of how boring and mundane her everyday life was. Because think about it, what she does. She goes to the bathroom, eats, and sleeps. So maybe at one point, like at the end of the day, York is still a Vegapunk, So what happens? Maybe she has easier to dream and to being the one of desire as well. Maybe all of them have that removed from them, They're focused on one specific task. Like dreaming might be her thing for her.
Yeah, it's
you might
almost
need
like
to dream to do anything in this world.
To be human, like you might have to be. It might be that she is the most human, and that it's human to betray the others for greed, or like that's indicative of what happened in the Void Century.
Yeah, I could see more like
the way I'm taking it is that she literally has the desire to be human. She wants it too much to the point that it, like we saw with how all the other satellites have that one unequivocally human part of Vegapunk that he put inside of them. Hers is that she always wants better for herself.
Yeah. Also, with what he says with that, what Dill says, what if it's also the way if you look at the satellites, right? The satellites, they seem not to overlap in emotion or personality traits. The sweet one is Atlas.
One portion that makes a human, and they're all just split up.
Yeah, exactly.
Shaka's the logic, Lilith's the evil.
Edison is the talkative, and the one getting all the ideas. Pythagoras is the one who actually gathers all the information. So like, he does the studying for everyone. Like, and with what Dill is saying is, what if basically the issue of the satellite is there's a danger of a human if you remove certain of his component. You know, what happens to the violet one if it's not sweet? Just with Atlas, it works perfectly because Atlas is a sweet person, but it's a violet one. But imagine if it was Lilith with Atlas's role. You know, just I think the worst combo was York. You know, someone who doesn't actually work, just sleeps all day, and his whole thing is to desire.
They always want something more than what they're doing already, and
Yeah.
they're just eating and sleeping.
I'm not sure how legitimate the sources are and stuff, but I am seeing that the full summary is due in the next sort of 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, it's like usual. It should be usually in maximum 30 minutes. We're always reading the full summary, so I can't wait for that.
I did see somebody say
Yeah.
it's going to literally be like 2 minutes, but so we'll keep our eyes open. But still,
Yeah, with the I will. So while we're waiting, I will talk about the cover story. I'm gonna double down. I really think we're gonna see in the cover story how the decisions Yamato will make to leave Wano, because it does seem that Yamato is gonna find out that people don't like Yamato, and so might find a way, to find that fulfillment.
yeah. I think it's important to point out that with the cover, like Kiri is not your average. It's not just in any old place. There's ties to Joy Boy.
Kibi, it's Kibi.
Yeah. Sorry. It ties to Joy Boy, and Joy Boy would have had some involvement or may have made that part of one or something like that. So the fact that he is the one that does that is interesting. Yeah, the cover stories are always pretty deep.
Yeah. I want to be.
Should we touch on the last part of the brief spoilers before they drop?
Yeah.
Full release.
At the end of the chapter, Vegapunk says, Goal D. Roger and his crew were the only ones that know the true history of the world. People are surprised to know of the D in Roger's name.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, pretty huge.
I think that's a good thing or bad thing.
Like you said about the Iron Giant sending out a sound wave, like that pretty much that works the same, right? Like telling I think what we're gonna see is, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with it in other movies and stuff like Star Wars. Like we're gonna see a load of kids looking up to the sky or something like that. Like all these future potential D clan members or D members that were in hiding or something like that. I think they're all gonna come out, and that's what Oja's gonna show us. Like.
It's what Emu said on the throne, is that the D don't even know their true nature. They're just empty shells of their former selves.
Yeah, and I'm gonna check something because it's not clear. I want to know how his bounty was written, Roger. It's very important. I'm wondering if they ever wrote, because we know that they changed it after, but we're never sure how they wrote it. Did they always write it Goldie Roger, or they just wrote Roger? Just like certain characters. Like think
Gold.
of Sanji.
It was gold as one word.
Okay.
Vegapunk says gold.
That's what the no. The bounty posters and the newspapers after Roger found the One Piece and before that all changed his name to Gold, not Gold D.
Yeah.
But this is Vegapunk revealing to the world, hey, he was actually Gold D, Roger. And the D means something to you people. Listen up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dalton is like quite an experienced person, and he didn't know. And Kureha is like, oh, you didn't know? So Kureha being the oldest character in the world, like as a human and stuff like that, that suggests that not many people know at all.
That's someone we haven't seen.
Yeah, so I was trying to look at the actual in the anime manga, like when they ever talk about Roger or his picture. In both instances, in the Yonko ones and in the Odin flashback, purposely we don't see the part of the name. They give us the number and the bounty, but they don't put the full picture for his. Same thing as Whitebeard. So I do wonder, especially for Roger, up until before O'Hara, till God Laughtail, if they just wrote Roger. Because it does seem that they never knew about the Goldie, unless if they forgot it. They could have forgotten it, but maybe they never wrote the Goldie, only Roger.
Alright,
That's
so I got a weird question.
sure.
Has Kureha been listening to this message?
Hmm.
Didn't we see Decks of the World with Dalton and Correa?
Oh wait,
Yeah,
let
nice.
me check on the wiki if it was also yeah, I think there was Korea, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I thought she just laughed
the-
at the whole announcement the world was flooding, and Dalton had like a shocked look on his face.
yeah. Well, there's definitely a
I
reason,
think
I imagine, that we
but
haven't
I
seen
don't
it.
know if any more of the points we've flashed to her to see her reaction on, like the mention of
It's
D Clan, or
it's like how we saw Rayleigh early on the speech, and he was drunk. It's so like Oda could just like get it out of the way without like it being too complicated and having to show Rayleigh like
Yeah.
being like what the fuck
Yeah. I mean, don't worry, dude. So we'll get Korea because I'm feeling it. Mad's connection is definitely with Korea.
That would be amazing if we got her with like in the
She's-
academy in the
yeah.
new academy that she made.
I'm telling you, I think Mads was led by both Clover and Korea because think of Korea's title and the fact that literally Korea's story with the Straw Hats is the same as Ivankov. Train a member of the crew and healed a member of the crew because another one asked them. Same way. In Ivankov is a founded revolution army with Dragon. So wouldn't it be logical that Korea, whose nickname that Oda revealed when Korea was active, was called the Master of All Doctors, who was a member of MADS with Clover.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a big leap. Especially the title, Master of All Doctors. That's a crazy epithet in the world of One Piece.
Let me just Google his age.
Clover? Clover would have been
85.
He would have been today. He would have been 107, and Korea's 141.
Woo! Nice.
Like literally,
So
they would have been from the same era.
Really old, died. Who's the other one? Carmel, really old, didn't get her age, got eaten. Then he got killed before he reached 100.
And think about it. Who is the person? Like, Nami is the one who's the emotional baggage for Luffy, right? Nami's also set for Usopp. But think about it. Who is the one the emotional support for Chopper? Robin. Because Clover and Korea knew each other. It's Oda's way of written the romance of it. Even the people who inherited their wills, like they're supposed to be just like them, are following in their footsteps.
And who took Robin down to the crypts of Wano? Sukiyaki. And Sukiyaki's 81. Interesting. So like they both play a similar role and yeah, man, that age is perfect.
It's like it's
I'm scouring the chapter. All right. So yeah, so it was whenever Vegapunk reached his conclusion about the sea level rising a staggering 200 meters. Parejo's reaction was, even now, the world still finds a way to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
And that is our only flash to her so far.
Yeah.
But I think coming up after this Goldie Roger reveal, we're gonna cut to her and be like, wait, so that wasn't common knowledge?
Yeah, strange.
Because the way she said it was just so casually, it was almost as if she had ran across Roger and he does the same thing that Luffy does, introduces himself. Hi, I'm Monkey D. Luffy. Hi, I'm Goldie Roger.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah.
Dude, I'm even
it's-
doubly down. I'm gonna say something crazy, but we were talking about the connection of Clover and Correa and their age thing. Dude, I've been saying, what if Clover is Roger's father? This is a crazy thing. What if Correa and Clover are both Roger's parents? I can explain why Correa seems to be one of the only people who actually knew its name. It doesn't seem to be connected to him.
Correa being Roger's mum. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, like, we're just saying that what if they're connected, but what if they're connected to a kin? Most of the time, that's what happens in story. It's just a crazy thought, yeah, that just came to my mind.
Dr.
That would mean
D. Correa.
that would mean, it's funny because she's obsessed with money, but that would mean that, what was I going to say? So that means that she's Ace's granny.
Bro, hold on. All right. So that would
That he's born in the Grand Line, not the East Blue.
both of Roger's parents being D-Clan members and both of Ace's parents being D-Clan members. If both of Portgas D. Rouge's parents were D-Clan members, that boy is certifiably D-Clan, bro. And he did nothing with it.
He got turned into a D.
Bro, he died with a smile on his face. That's all he did. That's the only D-Clan stipulation that he fulfilled.
Cobra didn't. Cobra had a fat frown on his face, but he did have a smile in his funeral picture.
That don't count.
Yeah, for stocks in the chat, basically Correa and Clover have like what? I think it's 33 or 23 years apart.
Yeah, if Clover was alive today, he'd be over 100.
Yeah. I mean, 107 plus 141, just do the math.
Grovestonk says Correa and Clover has to be related somehow. It is strange because in that video I made ages ago, I mentioned about how Correa does look like even Rayleigh, and Correa was shown to, I think, be blonde. So, oh no, wait, Clover's not blonde. He's green haired. I'm sorry, dude. I need to get that out of my head. Like,
that's why husband and wife makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She would have been 80, man. That's disgusting. Like,
no, but think about this, right? With the way she looks now, Correa does not fit her age at all. With she looks like Bakken, who's like in her 70s or 80s. So she's basically, if she ages 2 times less than other people, she would look at 40 years old. You know what I mean? An 80-year-old will look at a 40-year-old. She would look like she was 40, maybe,
We said earlier that maybe Clover worked at Punk Hazard.
Yeah.
Do we think Correa was teaching at Punk Hazard with Mads after leaving a certain group?
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
She taught Chopper how to control his devil fruit with medicine.
yes, I like it.
She maybe also experimented on Kaido.
Right? Like, she had to be involved in some form of experiments or teaching or knowledge. Like you don't just learn that like up in the mountains.
Yeah, and also think about this, right? What did Chopper learn for those 5 years of Correa? Everything from Correa's medical journals, right? When he met Hogback, he said, I studied all your medical journals. If it all goes back to the Punk Hazard Institute or Mads, it could be that's why Chopper is so good at understanding Mads member, because those are research that are also in Correa's research that he learned 5 years, studied it by heart. Like Queen's ice zombie virus. What if there was something in it that he saw something similar, that he did a lot of tests with Correa, prep. So it took him only 20. Yeah, he only took him 20 minutes to understand how the poison works.
Dealing with hypothermia.
Yeah.
Or frostbite.
Because it could be,
it's not like Chopper just just got the monster point. He was able to have how many different transformations at first? 9. Like completely manipulated the zone for just with medicine.
I mean, even without the medicine, he still had 5 different points. And then taking the medicine, it gave him 9, I believe you said. I think that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there, taking 3 gave him monster point.
But he didn't
So-
need the medicine.
Yeah.
They just helped.
Yeah,
like
he didn't-
because like
Yeah, he didn't
learned
need the
to do
medicine.
that.
He had 5 points. With the medicine, it enhanced those to the point where he had developed 4 more from it. And then those 4 more that he had developed, he got permanently over the time skip because he was just getting good with them.
Or
Get good.
hear me out. He spent time with the doctors at Torino Kingdom, and they taught him how to advance it even more. To the point he didn't need the medicine.
He did come back with the stag beetle transformation post time skip.
Mm-hmm.
And
What's
again, I like to
that
bring.
called again? Horn point? Or
Yep.
Big point or something?
I think
Also,
it was Horn.
I like to bring up that character that I said in that movie could be Oda's way of written Clover in a way. Birdie World with the name World. I'll think about it. It doesn't write the same way, but the naming of the first name or his last name is really like the word bird in it. Birdie World.
BYRNNDI. Bryn D.
Yeah. Yeah, Bryn D. Yeah, Bryn
Yeah.
D. But it was similar to the first time I saw it as bird, so it could be like, what if there's a connection with Clover, birds, and Korea as well?
Yeah.
I mean, oh, and also think about this, right? There were a lot of doctors in Drum Island, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if some of them needed a job after such an institute went down? Think about it. The events happened 10 years ago, right? Yeah, the
Now
Ohio
you're
Institute.
cooking.
The last time we heard about, because I said if there's an institute and we keep showing mads with only like 5 or 6 members, that is a lie for anyone who knows about anyone in the medical field. Even with Devil Fruits, you would need a village of researchers, assistants, other doctors with you, to cross-reference. It's so massive. I don't believe that just 5 members of MADS and Caesar Clown, 4 members and Caesar Clown would be able to do everything that they've done. It would make sense that they had a lot of people working in it.
Essentially the same way as in Egghead currently, we do have all of the satellites doing their own work. Yeah, they would be the equation for MADS. We also have random people inside of Egghead that are both like cyborg creations and actual human and animal like people inside of Egghead working for Vegapunk, which could be just the normal workers and stuff that were inside of MADS as well.
Yeah.
Just on a different scale and like not actually the same people, obviously.
Yeah, and remember they were felt coerced to go with Wapol. That's what they admitted, right? And now they work for Korea. It could be that when they left the Pankai's Institute, Saturn did not like that they all willing, and maybe there was an order of Wapol. Think about it. Wapol was then giving an island for failing. There's something they want Wapol, and I do think that it might be connected with Delfruit,
Yo, Grove Stonk saying Kurehar is Clover's ship doctor.
Yeah, I saw that. It makes sense. Think about it.
So
Kurehar,
Higurashi, Carmel, Stroizen, and Clover may have been on the same crew.
I think there's someone else. I think there's someone else.
The crazy theories from the time when that image came out, the person standing behind Clover looks a lot like Lucky Roo.
Wait, what?
Bro, it was the stupidest take ever. There's a person
if you
behind
find it,
Clover.
put it in the chat.
So it's in his ship panel whenever he's standing at the helm, or not the helm, right at the front of the ship.
That's mad. That's mad.
They're like, it looks like Lucky Roo because it's a rotund person with the same striped shirt as Lucky Roo.
But by the way, for those who haven't seen the latest episode, you should watch it. There's a certain Marine that you see. He has the weirdest neck. I just need people to check. I can't. I don't even think I can talk about it here because I don't want to get demonetized. Let's just say that it looks like something very. It looks like something very sus. You gotta see it. Toei's having way too much fun. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, you probably can't post an image of that.
But I was saying, like, I don't remember all the people you said then, but think about this, right? So let's say yes, all part of the same group, right? Or at least
and
on the same
Vegapunk,
ship,
right?
Yeah. So let's say it's Korea, Vegapunk. What's it called? We said Clover, obviously, but think about 2 other members. It would make perfect sense.
Yeah, it's the three witches you and I have been talking about for years, right?
Higurashi and Mother Caramel. It would make sense.
Yeah, Mother Caramel, Kureha. Then you've got Streisand, who, like Ace, has always been not the characters in the dude in the server has been asking about for years. Well, like, what's his motive? Like, his motivation. The summary's out.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna read it.
Cool.
Actually, Mother Caramel makes
the picture in the chat, by the way.
Okay, perfect. It makes the most perfect sense. What's her name? That's oh my god.
But yeah, that person that we can see standing behind Clover is who people said was Lucky Brew.
Dude, I have to download the cover.
No, I got this. Let's go. Chapter 1120. Atlas. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest, Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 10. Denjiro, the daimyo of Kube, catches in a net the kids who are hurting Yamato. Let's go! I'll say what I said earlier. Put the kids out! Chapter starts with a flashback that takes place 26 years ago in Punk Hazard. At the time, a lot of green forest and palms surrounding Punk Hazard facilities. Yo, it's slush! 2 men are talking at Punk Hazard's interest. Vegapunk with his 2 dragons, casually, okay, and Clover. Clover begs Vegapunk to help him with his Void Century research because he needs knowledge from other fields. Vegapunk refuses, saying he's a government man now. Vegapunk, do you remember how many times you have been arrested? They've got their eyes on you. I'm sure you know why you can still roam free like you are. It's to follow you to your den, to capture all of your friends. Clover explains that a man who had D in his name was killed right before his eyes in the past. That man was Clover's brother. Vegapunk is in shock. Clover, my real name is Clyome D. Clover. That day, I lied in order to live. Ooh.
What?
Okay, so the juxtaposition to him lying in order to live was him telling the truth to die whenever Ohara was destroyed. We can see a little panel of the moment where Clover's brother was killed. Clover said he was just his friend to survive. Clover continues talking tearfully. Clover, are you telling me that there are people in this world who deserve to be killed just by being born or stating their name? However, Vegapunk says, again, he won't help Clover. Vegapunk says, too, that he will forget about what Clover had just said. While Vegapunk walks inside Punk Hazard, Clover says something more. Clover, Vegapunk, I will solve it. Just wait. I can hear a voice coming from the past. Cut to 22 years ago. Ooh. I like that. Cut to 22 years ago. Vegapunk and Caesar received the news that Ohara was destroyed by Buster Call. Caesar says he wants to see the massacre himself. Vegapunk is sad. After that, Vegapunk visits Ohara. The scene takes place just before the flashback we saw in 1066 when Dragon appeared in Ohara. Vegapunk is crying in front of Ohara's lake while he looks at Kid Nico Robin's wanted poster. Vegapunk, so you all died to save this pile of books? Who in the world would be foolish enough to risk their life to carry on your research? and then it's him.
Mhm.
Back to the present. The Vegapunk message continues. Zeph and Patty are listening to the message in the broadcast. Let's go, fucking Zeph. We see Tequila
Yeah,
Wolf
man.
2, where the guards are whipping prisoners. Yeah, they're gonna get slaughtered. It's okay.
Oh,
In Egghead, Robin is extremely moved while she listens to Vegapunk's message. Okay, so they are listening to the message. I've been having this discussion that they might not be able to be listening to the message all at the same time. She covers her eyes with her hands. I don't know why that just says his hand. Vegapunk history is written by
wait.
winners.
No. He's saying she covers her eyes with her hand, and I'm guessing it means the one, like so doing like Nika does, right? Like the Gear 5 Luffy.
No. So it says with his hand. So I read that and I was like, yeah, I think it meant to be her hand, just kind of
Her
like
hand, okay.
she,
Yeah, because it goes
yeah,
her
she's kind
eyes
of
and
like
then hand.
not
That's weird.
wanting to show that she's crying right now.
Or her eyes with his
Vegapunk.
hand, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird statement.
History is written by winners. The voices of the losers are faint, buried deep under the sea. Ooh,
Yes, I'm telling
that's
you.
a cold line.
Yeah.
That is a
But
cold
after
line.
much sacrifices, I've been able to determine some of the buried truths, and I relayed them to the world. I pray that my message so far has been broadcasted safely. Cut to the Labo phase. Zoro and Jinbei are on the Thousand Sunny now. Nostro was blown away, but he's coming back. Lilith stops the Straw Hat crew from taking off, saying that if Nostro attacks them midair, the speed will drop and the ship will not reach the sea. They can't take off if Nostro is still in the way. Suddenly, Atlas appears and punches Lilith, making her unconscious. Atlas attacks, smashes Lilith in the sunny floor. Jesus. Atlas turns off the device in Lilith's head. She touches Lilith's head and we hear a click sound effect. York notices it. Ooh. York, Lilith's signal is gone, so now only Atlas remains. Atlas talks with Nami and the others. Atlas, please take care of Lilith. I will eliminate your obstacle. Nasjuro is running back to the Thousand Sunny, but Atlas flies and grabs him. Nasjuro slices one of Atlas' arms, but she still grabs him. That's why I think that the Iron Giant lost an arm, is because Atlas also lost an arm.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to bring that up earlier, but I completely got sidetracked because ADHD brain. Then Atlas uses her Dom shoes and her jetpack to push Nostro out of the way as the Thousand Sunny takes off using a Kube burst. Cut to Egghead Shore. Emmett talks to Luffy. He's very excited to see the robot. I'm so glad to meet you again, Joy Boy. Luffy's confused and looks around, searching for who's talking to him. Emmett has a funny reaction. Emmett, I'm talking to you. You go on ahead. Your enemy is my enemy. I'm glad to be able to fight for you again, Joy Boy. Luffy, amazing. So you can talk. Emmett, Joy Boy is in danger. I will protect him. Kind of like how Kuma overrided to protect Bonnie in the final moments. Joy orders his crew to prepare to set sail. Broggy asks Luffy if that thing is one of them. Luffy, he said he's going to protect the Joy Boy guy. Who is that? Broggy, he said, we didn't hear a thing.
Oh,
what? God. Really? Oh, shit.
No way.
Yep.
No way.
You can hear it.
Yo, all right, so hold on. So this makes a lot more sense now. Luffy is confused and looks around searching for who's talking to him. Didn't recognize the voice, but could hear the voice and was able to just have a conversation with it, and nobody else was able to.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know who else has done this exact same feat on something that he's connected to? Usopp, the global barman. Zoro can hear or see nothing as well.
Just like Zunisha when he talked to Luffy.
So,
and Momo, yeah.
And Momo was able to communicate. And now Luffy is fully tapped into the voice of all things to where he's able to communicate and not just listen.
I wonder if Bonnie. I wonder if Bonnie heard it as well.
But it could also be this thing of the reason why Momo is able to talk back to Zunisha, and the same reason why Usopp can do more than just he could see and hear something that wasn't there, while Zoro can hear or see nothing. What if it's because the Nika fruit is connected to Iron Giant, thus with Emmett, thus he's able to talk him back to him. They know each other. That connection, you know.
It's possible. Like it's the fruit communicating with the
Yeah,
Iron
like
Giant instead of Luffy.
Perona talked about the
mean-
network of ghosts. She can talk to ghosts. A network can also could be similar thing. You access that network.
But yeah,
Should we keep reading?
I definitely think that this chalks up to voice of all things conversation. Is that Dory and Broggy are confused by him being like, "Did he talk to you? What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Oda, like Luffy's first experience with being addressed head on, face to face. Yo, you're Joy Boy, and he's like, what? Like that is major because now he knows that name. Whenever he hears it, he can be like, oh, somebody said I'm like Joy Boy, and it also means that because Emeth said, I will protect Joy Boy. Whoever was around 200 years ago at Marishwa, there potentially was a Joy Boy too, and Emeth was trying to protect him because that seems to be his purpose right now, right? But anyway, I'll let you carry on reading.
Yeah, the last part is crazy.
Jupiter charges at the robot. Emeth raises his left arm and is about to release an attack, similar to Mazinger's rocket punch pose. LOL. But due to its body being too old, the attack doesn't come out. Luffy, Sanji, and Frankie are very disappointed. Okay, so now Sanji's interested in the robot's attacks too? Like, Frankie and Luffy, I understand. Sanji is? Maybe Sanji's just like, yo, he's helping us. Jupiter bites part of Emeth's body off. One of Emeth's arms is eaten completely. Emeth uses its other arm to hold Jupiter back, but Saturn jumps on Jupiter and then jumps onto Elbaf's ship. What? Saturn looks at Kuma and Bonnie. Cut to the Thousand Sunny that is flying in the sky. Sanji sees the Sunny from Elbaf's ship. Nostro slashes at Atlas. Nostro, didn't expect you to sacrifice yourself. Atlas, no, this is called a service. Then Atlas blows herself up. Half of Nostro's face is blown off. In an amazing final double page of the chapter, we can see different scenes while Vegapunk's message continues. I would like to have more time to do my research, but there are those who already cannot be stopped. 25 years ago, the pirate Goldie Roger and his crew finally circled the entire world, a feat never seen before. The Thousand Sunny is flying towards the sea. It's near Elbaf's ship. Usopp and Chopper cry for Atlas. Straw Hat Pirates, we can reach the sea. Usopp, damn it, Atlas, you can't just do that. York tells the 5 elders that Atlas' signal has disappeared. York, now the only Dr. Vegapunk in the world is me. Nostro, with half of his face destroyed. No, not yet. Saturn, that's Stella, who just can't stop yapping. Jupiter, of course. Workery, we will put an end to it immediately. Jupiter and Workery charge at Emeth together to stop the broadcast. Emeth is in front of them. A lot of smoke is coming out of its broken arm. Emeth, I'm rotten. So, this is the right moment that you talked about, Joy Boy. Then I'm going to use it now. In the penultimate panel of the chapter, we see Vegapunk talking in the broadcast. Vegapunk, Zaza, which means that they must have already heard the unaltered voice of the past. In other words, I believe you have all noticed this too. This is what I believe will happen in the future of the world. Cut tempo down in the final panel of the chapter. Prisoners are surprised with the last part of Vegapunk's message. Prisoners. Huh? What? He said, Goal D? No, end of chapter. No break next week. Jump covered and color spread in chapter 1121 to celebrate One Piece 27th anniversary. So not this chapter, next week.
Wild.
Where
Next week's
do we
chapter.
even begin with this?
We get a jump cover
around the board.
Oh, I really like that last part. It was people from Impel Down. So I'm
Yep.
wondering if it's people
It's
from
people that have been outside of the world's touch for a bit. And maybe they went away right after Roger was locked up, so they haven't heard of any of the new Ds that are around the
Yeah.
world. They know of Roger, and they could have sworn they saw a bounty poster with him where it said Gold Roger on
Yeah.
there, and they're like, huh?
So
What?
so it's so definitely it could also be that if they're also from Roger's era, they could have never even known Roger with a D name at all. Like maybe at one point he was just called Roger, just like Straw Hat Luffy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Dalton's age would suggest something like that, right? Because Kureha said it to him about
What if
Luffy.
Doflamingo doesn't even know that he's a D member? What if Doflamingo doesn't know that Roger was a D member and he just thinks it was Gold Roger?
It would make sense actually.
Mm.
Because
I
if
just
we go the
want
same
to,
logic, yeah.
Sorry, I just want to point out that did Vegapunk just confirm he's predicting the world goes in cycles?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's got to be a W for everybody in TLA.
Yeah. By the way, guys, so I'm gonna say this because I know that name by heart because of some of my cousins obsessed in fantasy world and certain stuff. I know by heart the term of of Clover's name, Clium. I think it's supposed to be like revealing light or sort of light or something like that.
Ooh, the revealing light. And then we have the Robin, the light of the revolution.
Yeah. And you really have a group called Sword as well. So it's like it's
Who is working to expose
yeah, okay, yeah.
Marines and the world government.
So wait, I'm gonna Google it because actually, yeah, it is that. Wait, I'm gonna the meaning. Okay, so it actually means sword, but there's an actual term called Climome Soles, which is interesting because Soles
Which
is
of
the
light.
which is the word for sun as well in light, is rendered as a sword of light. Is a sword that appears in Irish mythology. What else is in Irish mythology? The four-leaf clover theory, mythos as well. Dude.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I still can't get over the fact that Vegapunk just said he thinks this is going to happen again in the future. Like he just finished telling us a fantastical story, and he's like, "In case you haven't realized, I think it's going to happen again."
Yeah. I'm giving us the hint that it is a cycle. Everything repeats in the world of One Piece.
Ragnarok is coming. Who said it in the chat? Growth stonks. Ragnarok is definitely coming.
No.
That's wild. Beautiful moment by Atlas. The flashback looks extremely touching. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
And
so
this
I
is gonna be
definitely
insane.
like this more than what I was speculating on and what we were thinking it was of Clover actually working there. It was just him pulling up saying, "Hey yo, come help me expose these people." He's like, I can't help you. I'm working for those people. Come help me expose the people you're working for, bro.
There's something that bothers me. Now we know it was 26 years ago. That means that Punk Hazard must not have been such a world government facility as they claim it is, and that it was now. The way Vegapunk talks about it, he seems to be so wanted. Why would you just casually go to a world government island?
He must have known something about Vegapunk.
Yeah, but what if basically...
Perhaps from Dragon.
Yeah, but more like, what if Punk Hazard was this place where we're still connected to Clover? Vegapunk at the time was still going there, but it wasn't world government taken over yet. It could have happened after those years, after the death of Clover 22 years ago or 24 years ago, he was hunted down again. Because they're just casually talking about that in Punk Hazard. About the Void Sentry, the D Clan giving him his real name. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if it was really a world government place, would he naturally talk about those stuff so naturally in such a place?
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it kind of makes me think that 26 years ago, the government still did not take control of Punk Hazard, but something happened in those 4 years.
We get to see Tequila Wolf again too. This
Yeah.
is going to be exciting.
By the way, I think we're gonna
Yeah.
get a reveal that Clover is a failed Joy Boy because that part where he talked about his brother, dude, that screamed Luffy and Marineford. He saw his brother die right before his eyes, just like Luffy did. But yeah. Now for that brother, it'll take us 25 years to get anything about that brother.
The meaning of Clover's name, I was away for a second. Y'all talked about that.
Yeah, it's an Irish. It goes from it's in the Tamil. Clayom means sword, but there's a term in Irish lore called Clayom Soles, which is the sword of light.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at just now. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Then don't forget, and I said don't forget the Irish also is where the myth of the four-leaf clover comes from, of all things. So definitely he has an Irish inspiration. And even though we like to talk about witches, you know what they have instead of witches, more than witches? Celtic druids. So that's just like a. But yeah. It's an wait. Let me check the chat to see. Punk Hazard. Just to answer to Greg, Punk Hazard. When we were introduced with Caesar Clown, so up to 4 years ago, since those last 4 years, they've been working on Zoans, so artificial adulthood, and turning kids to giants. Yes, but we don't know what was before the stuff we've seen with Doflamingo. We still don't know. Sorry, you were gonna say 3D? I was just answering a message.
What I was wondering is how a robot could talk directly to somebody's mind unless he was part human.
Voice of all things.
Voice of all things.
Yeah, but I know I expect it from like living beings, but this is a robot.
But remember what Oda said about
this-
voice of
this
all things, the
ties back to
official
what we're
definition
saying.
of it? The official definition of voice of all things is anything that is heard in a human voice that is not human. So that's why Poneglyph could be heard. He answered that in SBS. Anything that's non-human. Yeah. Like, you know.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was wondering because I was thinking, but I know the Poneglyphs kind of spoke to Roger, but it wasn't speaking in sentences. I mean, it wasn't like Roger was saying, "Oh, you can talk" to the Poneglyph, you know, or you know, they all have a vibration. Things have a vibration and a voice, but not where they speak in sentences, though. That's
what
where
I
the
was going to
surprise.
say. This kind of ties back to how we were thinking about maybe the Iron Giant was a cyborg that was originally human but turned into the Iron Giant and would still have that will of the human inside of the Iron Giant.
Unless it was actually
That's
a
why
toy.
the Dende Mushi could hide in it too, because like Nola, it was a living, not necessarily a living thing, but it had a soul or a will.
You know what kind of makes me think of? And this is, I think, the end game power of the Gorosei and Emu. It doesn't the voice of all things correlate to people who they can't get rid of completely, but are people like they're like ghosts in this world. You can't see and you can't hear. Only a select few can hear them. It kind of makes me think of what Perona was alluding to with her fruit. Because of her fruit, she has an access of ghosts and spirits that is not no more part of this world that she can interact with. But she can't go to that network, but the ghosts can come to her. So it kind of makes me think that what if there are some people you just cannot hear? And because of a certain connection, you hear those voices. People telling you what to do, Watch out,
I still think that the devil fruit, before Luffy ate it, spoke to him, or at least suggested subconsciously to him to eat it, like it chose him.
I agree. You remember the panel of how Luffy ate the fruit? He didn't question it. He opened the treasure chest and just took it.
And it
That's
tasted
weird.
bad. Why would you keep eating something that tasted horrible?
It's not even that. Is that if you think about it, it's very crazy. It's imagine if you're at a bus stop and somebody just walks up to another person, puts his hand in his bag and takes out the specific thing and just you start using it. Like it felt like he knew even before for some reason that it was a fruit.
Yeah, that's true.
It was innately driven
Yeah.
to it. But
Yeah,
I
like-
actually gotta hop off for a bit now, guys. It's been a blast streaming with y'all. I'll
Take a
still
look,
have it
man.
running in the background, so I'll be listening. But keep cooking away because this chapter is just insane as usual.
Yeah. And
Thanks for having me
hello
on.
from see you, man. And a hello from Grand Line Bound who's in the chat. What's up, Smokey?
I like the line that that Doflamingo said at Marineford, the Victor's right history or whatever. It was similar to that,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Yup.
And there's
Who
this actually
decides justice? The one who is the victor writes the history books.
yeah.
Oh no! It's the one who's the victor decides what is justice.
Yeah. And there's another statement at the beginning that he talks about. He says, children who've only lived war would understand the struggle, and those who've never lived war would never understand the struggle. And I think he's explained the difference between Celestial Dragon and D-Clan members. D-Clan member went through the struggles, while the Celestial Dragons are obvious to it. So they don't understand the world that they live in. You know, why people, like I've said, what if Celestial Dragon had been indoctrinated to see people who are not Celestials, the way that Rob Lucci sees Luffy, like demons? It's also I've seen in the Sabaudi, the way that St. Carter's sister looks at one of them. When she looks at the people, she looks scared of them, frightened of them. Same thing as Miosgard, the moment he sees Otohime. It's only after he starts talking that he calms down. So I think that part of the message could be the Celestial Dragon. Since they never went through struggles, they just go with what they were told. The victors write the history.
What do you think it means when he said, I can hear a voice coming from the past? You think the people in the past could hear a voice from the future?
Yeah, this is what I think is because that is what is Voice of All Things. I think Voice of All Things, the best example is Usopp the Colbarman. He can only hear and see the Colbarman because of the connection to the Mary. I'm wondering if for Voice of All Things, Momo can talk back to Zunisha because his will is connected to Zunisha. Same thing with Luffy, maybe the Iron Giant. I'm wondering if Voice of All Things is something that a certain person connect, like not, even if you have Voice of All Things, you don't do it at the same level, right? Luffy cannot talk back to Zunisha, cannot give orders to Zunisha. So it kind of makes you think of, there's this connection, you know? You have to aim as well. You can't just hear. You have to aim back at them. And for some reason, only select few people can talk back to specific things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be like, maybe he was in a specific place that his will is so connected, or Clover is so connected, he doesn't know it. And then suddenly that voice talks to him, you know? A voice of someone, maybe someone who was wiped out, you know? Someone who was made to be forgotten. But because of you holding on that dream, you might not know that person, but you can still hear that person talking to you, unable to tell who it is. Because Luffy doesn't recognize the Iron Giant. It's not like the Pluton stuff in Wano. But yeah, other than that, what else did you guys think about this chapter? About this, the spoilers? I mean, the full spoilers. Anything jump?
I was wondering about what Tequila Wolf. I'm wondering if it'll have more. Because it just said like the guards were whipping prisoners. I thought they freed the prisoners as a different section or what?
It could also be
a different section. But what
Yeah.
I was thinking for the Tequila Wolf tie-in is we would be able to see the difference in the water levels from pre-time skip to now.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the voices all through this. I mean, talking about how the voices under the sea are buried deep. But they can hear them, they're faint.
Bro, that line from Vegapunk was so cold. History is written by winners. The voices of the losers are faint, buried deep under the sea.
Yeah. What if that's what happened to the people of Lelucia? They're not really dead. You just cannot interact with them anymore. It's like worse than death, you know? Purgatory,
Ooh,
you know?
they're trapped there and they can't pass on or something, and their voices can
Yeah,
still be heard.
yeah. And maybe that's how inherited will happen. It could be that certain people carry on the wills. And because they carry that certain will, anything that's connected to that specific network, you can hear certain voices that are wiped out, you know? So it's, let's say, any voice that has connection to whatever will that both Nolan and Usopp have, because I think they both have the same will. Any voice that's part of it, they can hear their voices. Anyone who's eaten the mirror, right? They connect the different voices of the mirror. That's why Sabo knows that Ace is with him, because he knows Ace. But he doesn't recognize the other voices. So most likely that's why he can only talk about Ace. Could be the same thing with other things, you know. Your will is carried on if you can't carry it on, you know. Type of situation.
I know there's a big deal that everybody's saying Luffy is not Joy Boy, but they keep kind of drilling it in that he actually is. I mean, it could just be the devil fruit, but he's like, I'm so glad to meet you again, Joy Boy. Zunisha was like, Joy Boy's here.
Yeah. It's the Nika part. It's a Nika part. Like, we know that there's a difference when they talk about Nika and Sangan Nika. It does seem that Sangan Nika is Joy Boy, but I've always said it's very clear that Nika and that's why I'm very curious about the Giants, because they only refer to him as Sun God. I want to see if they refer to him as just Nika or later on Joy Boy, or if, you know, because maybe there's you know, imagine there's actually a third person. There's Nika, Sun God Nika, and Joy Boy. That would be crazy, but.
And he just says, I'm glad to be able to fight for you again, Joy Boy. I mean, that's just.
Oh yeah, he's Joy Boy, definitely.
But you're not thinking it's a reincarnated thing?
No, because or else Zunisha would have recognized immediately Luffy in Zao. He saw Luffy in Zao. I mean, no correlation, did not even get active. Only got active when he heard the drones of liberation. So it could be this thing of because of the Nika fruit, he's got the will of Joy Boy in him. It's part of him. It's in the fruit. And only when he goes Gear 5 does
Joy Boy eat the devil fruit too, though?
Oh yeah, remember what they said about Joy Boy? That he seemed to have desired the same abilities of the fable hero Nika. So we know Nika is at least before Joy Boy in the way they stated. So it kind of makes you think that that's Joy Boy must have been the first user of the Nika Nika no Mi. And the way Kaido talked about it. And Kaido used it as a title, not as a person. So any person who uses the fruit maybe is called Joy Boy, you know? And what did Luffy say the moment he ate his fruit? I feel happier.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so it could. It's just me, the whole Nika and Sangan Nika. It's very weird because sometimes they write them completely different.
He's just noticed by different people as Joy Boy, and then like from the Giants, he's recognized as Nika. From the Giants and the Gorosei, right?
The Gorosei call him Nika, but the Giants call him Sun God Nika. So, and then they keep referring to him as a Sun God. So that, you know, that's the problem I have right now is, you know, until when, you know what I mean? Like, how loosely can you say when you talk about Nika, just Nika, is it when they refer just Sun God? They would have the term Sun God with him. They don't just say Nika. So that could be the difference. When you use the word Sun God in front of Nika, maybe you're referring to another person than the actual Nika. It's a, you know, it's a brain teaser. I sometimes hurt my own brain when I think about it too much.
Yeah, it's too kind of complicated.
Yeah. But I would say that the Joy Boy thing must be the title you get when you're very good with this fruit. Because I think that's why Joy Boy was so good. You know, it's part of him. Ooh, so there's someone in the chat. Joe D list, he has an interesting take, and I'm gonna read it out loud for everyone. Bonnie says, "I'm Ishiban, number 1, free." When she transformed to Nika, I think that makes her Ishika, while Luffy is Nika. Ishika is usually a female name. Thoughts? I think
That's
Luffy is all. Nika is Sun God reincarnated. Joy Boy reincarnated. Joy Boy was a person. Nika might not be. Interesting. Sorry, you were saying, Sweetie?
that sounds like the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Their names.
Yeah. Exactly. You know who else could be an interesting person that can go through that Gear 5, that Nikaification that Luffy did to Bonnie? Katakuri. I'm wondering if back in the day, the Moshi Moshi no Mi, especially how the Moshi Moshi user is one of the only rivals of Kaido who actually taught Luffy how to use Haki better, trained him in a way, I'm wondering if at one point the Moshi was fighting with Nika. And was because Nika had his own Gear 5 form. So I mean, it's Luffy's fruit, except it's not rubber; it's moshi, but it's basically almost the same fruit.
Well, like we've been saying, history does repeat itself. So
yeah, this actually can explain. I've been saying it can explain why Katakuri broke character when it came to Luffy. Think about it. He was cold towards almost everyone. Yes, he loved his family, but he didn't really talk to them. But with Luffy, he took upon his time to answer to his stuff, respecting him. There was something about Luffy that made him show empathy towards him. What if it's just the Moshi Moshi feeling Nika?
Well, and 2, he had a special gift of being able to feel or recognize other people's feelings. I think it was when he was training with Rayleigh.
Yeah. As well, the attention, the attention. Yeah. So that could be interesting. That could be what they were alluding to with those mermaids. Goka. Ishika, Nika, Sanka, Yonka, and Yonka too. What if there were all the people who were going through that Nika thing as well? Back then.
Luffy says, I'm a Yonko, Bonnie. I'm a Yonko too.
Yeah, that'd be cute.
Yeah. But that would imagine Usopp becomes Sanka and Sanji becomes Yonka. But you know what? With that logic, that can make sense why the way he writes the 5 first Straw Hats, if they're connected to that thing. But the question is this: who is then, if Luffy's the first one, who is the number 2? Is it Nami or is it Zoro? Because I've always said Zoro could be the one plot device that was never intended all the cycles. Zoro always teamed up with Luffy when it was too late. He's the only one, if you think about it. Luffy goes natural for every crew member except for Zoro. Zoro, he's the only one who has information about him and wants him in the crew and goes to the island to recruit him. The only time he does that with Zoro. And for some reason, when he heard something about Zoro, he was automatic. He didn't want to listen to Kube anymore. He said, let's go to Shouttown. And I'm wondering if it was Nika, influencing Luffy's decision at that moment.
Greg
Yo.
Oh, you're back. Yay!
Yeah, what's up, man?
Yeah, sorry about that. I just had to eat some food quick. But yeah, I was listening, spitting some fire.
Yeah, man.
Greg F was saying Luffy has Joy Boy's will, but he has Nika's fruit.
Ooh. I mean, think about it. What if that's the whole thing? Think about it. What if Roger was missing Nika's fruit but had Joy Boy's will? If there's 2 components, right?
I mean, what's the difference in that case between the 2?
Well,
power and will are separate, I guess.
But not
because
even
like
that.
Nika assumably could do some stuff that the Gomu could do, right? Nika was bendy, for example.
Yeah, but it could be also, think about this, right? Whatever Joyboy was supposed to do, he needed that other component, right? The nika fruit. It's like alchemy. You need all the ingredients. Missing one of those two ingredients, whatever Joyboy was supposed to do as Joyboy with the nika power, if no one has a nika power, you would fail every time. Or maybe you would have the nika power, but you never inherited Joyboy's will. You inherited, let's say, Vadendekin's will, or the will that Blackbeard has, you know, or Xebex's will.
You mean like incompatibility sort of thing?
Yeah. Like if you're supposed to redo a certain thing, maybe it's like alchemy. You need the right ingredients, use at the right ratio at the right moment, you know, at the right way. One thing that's that's not compatible. One thing that doesn't follow the same pattern, the same process. What happens? It's a different seal, you know, for alchemy. It's a whole different thing. Could be the same thing, you know.
Yeah. I do know where you come from with that. It's interesting, seeable as well.
Yeah, it's like like I said, everything we're talking right now is a brain teaser twister because, dude, it's like it can go through a rabbit hole very easily.
I think that's like it's natural, right? Like as we all become funneled into the end of the story where everyone's sort of being told the information and getting into the same place, like these things are going to get tighter and tighter until you get that like confirmation, like that one bit of information that will reveal, okay, yeah, these are, you know, this is distinct, this is this is that.
Yeah.
Where's my wallet?
I'm still saying this. The Marines not being seen still bothers me.
Not being seen?
Yeah, dude, it's been, I don't know how many, I think it's been now 10, it's been what, 15 minutes since Kizaru's been sent off the island? And interesting enough, it seems that every of those powerful Devil Fruit users who use powerful Devil Fruit and have to reuse their hockey afterwards, they need just 10 minutes break. Literally,
no,
right
but
now.
They were told to get off the island.
Yeah.
They were the Gorosei said everyone has to leave the island except for us. We will stay.
Yeah. But they're the outskirts of the islands on their ship, but they're not really showing them. You know, that's what I'm saying. But it's interesting. Again, it's a weird way the way he's ending it. It kind of feels like some parts feel like he's rushing it, even though we know he's not rushing.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's really like it's not very One Piece, but I mean at the same time it is, because of like the themes that we see in Egghead. Everything's robotic and synthetic and stuff like that. So it like kind of matches the style, but at the same time it's intense. Like I think everyone's wanting a bit of a break afterwards before we get to wherever we go next.
Yeah, I agree. It's just for me, it feels like if you remove Kizaru and Setomaru, the Marines were useless in this arc. I mean, they didn't serve another purpose, it's just the fighting aspect, you know? There was nothing blood, you know? So it's kind of weird to bring so much Marines just to show that this is a war situation. That's the only thing they showed to it, but that's all. Which was weird. Introducing their names, their devil fruits, you know, all of that.
I feel like there's also this balance that Oda's trying to like not even strike, it's just has to balance in the fact that like a lot of these Marines might join the fort, like the good side. You know, they might just be fighting for justice or whatever, and like if Oda has them do real bad stuff, then the reader's going to struggle with them being on the team, you know? Like with X-Drake, like we saw him flip-flop over and over and over and over again. Like that's Oda showing us that like if someone is going to be on a good side, like, and they were bad or they've done bad, then it's going to take a lot. Like Vegapunk had to die. Obviously, it's a bit more extreme in his case because he's done some wild stuff. But
I was looking on Twitter and Tiante had posted that the Sword of Light was supposed to be a god-killing weapon in Irish mythology.
Yeah. And basically, every time you get the Sword of Light, basically it's a light that could cut through holy. The Holy Grail with Excalibur at some point is referred to be another version of the Holy Knight, or Holy the Sword of Light, because Excalibur is supposed to even cut the most holiest creation. Which, you know, Camelot, you know, Arthur and the Round Table. I mean, the sort of that concept of sword could also be if there's an actual sword like that, or if that's what separates the eternal flame into the mother flame is something else.
Is Dill still here?
I think so.
What was your favorite part then of this chapter?
To me or to Dill?
I was asking Dill, but he may be might have stepped away.
Yeah, he must be. No, yeah, maybe he's quickly. He's maybe not next to his mic, but he can hear us. Well, for me, honestly, I've been saying it since the message started. What did I been saying? We're gonna get the lore about Clover, his D-clan connections to the D-clan. I did not expect him to actually be a D-clan member. Like, part of me hoped to, but I was just happy that my boy Clover. I was saying the way they were writing Clover in the beginning of the arc. I said, dude, they're gonna be talking about Clover at this arc. So that was my favorite part.
I can't
Yeah,
get
it's
over.
cool
I
to be
can't
getting.
get over.
Go on
Go
through.
ahead.
No, yeah,
No,
after you, and Seth.
No, I was just gonna say I can't get past the robot talking to Luffy alone. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's so cute, and like that is very One Piece, man. Like the fact that the first thing he says to him is like, or second thing he says to him is like, "Oh, so you can talk?" Like, yeah, you're such a legend. Like, what a legendary protagonist.
I really, really want to hear Jordan Broggy hear the statement of Joy Boy. I want to know if they knew the story of Joy Boy in Elbaf, or they just knew the story of Sun God Nika, because the same thing as the Fishman. It does seem that from Jinbei that the Fishman did not know about Sun God Nika or Joy Boy, but they knew about a term called the Warrior of Liberation.
It's like they can't hear his heartbeat, a Joy Boy heartbeat, but they can tell by his looks that he's Nika. Right?
Yeah, it's not. Wait, just to clarify what you're saying, Kube. Like, we don't know if they know the name. Like,
Yeah,
it was left ambiguous because what it's kind of implying that, but it's like more distinctly being like, yeah, we can't literally hear the voices through. We're saying.
yeah. Like the best example is King only refers as the Legend of Sun God Nika as Joy Boy. The Giants use the term Sun God Nika, never the term Joy Boy. And Jinbei found out that the Sun God was also known as the Word of Liberation. And in Beginning of Egghead, he actually says he looks just like the Word of Liberation. Those are different groups, different cultures. So I'm wondering if Joy Boy was ever a thing. It could be the reason why the Fishmen never heard about Joy Boy is because wherever Joy Boy comes from is maybe connected more to the Lunarians. And Sun God Nika is specifically with the Giants.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. Like I said, it gets very meta and very crazy. It's a brain twister. Sometimes it drives you crazy to think and then there's Vegapunk's term. He used a term we never heard, the White Warrior, which makes you think that's a different Nika, different legend.
Yeah, that's something I also found interesting. Is like you say, that it was a new term, that like it's completely unnecessary to add that, but it is necessary to add it if you're adding like more culture. I'm not sure if you could hear that there. My headphone fell out, but
no, we heard it. The sound went a bit crazy, but we still were able to hear what you were saying.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna have to shoot anyway. I'm not sure if you guys are staying on, or do you want to sign off now, or
we could. It's up to 3 days. We can sign out now as well. It's honestly.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we're gonna sign off, guys. But yeah. So then tell the people where they can find you. We'll do the outros.
Firstly, I'll quickly just say it's gonna be a cool couple days, like getting the raws and the chapter. I know some people aren't in spoilers, but a lot of people are, and just each day being able to unpack a chapter like this it's fascinating to me. Like, they're always the ones that seem a little more weird and quiet in the leaks and the hints and stuff like that. But when you actually see the chapter and process it and unpack it, it's going to be huge. So looking forward to the TLA group and the server and the people in the comments and stuff discussing that, and I'm excited. And if you want to know more about the rest of us or me, myself, or any of us, you can find us in the Discord server. You can DM us. You've got all of our channels listed in there, some of our videos, some of our cool, amazing family like Nak, who no doubt will be in TLA as a staff member at some point eventually. But yeah, okay. And what about you, 3Day? Tell the people what you got going on.
I'm planning on posting a Nami theory by tonight. You got to check it out. It'll be on Twitter, and it's got way too many connections. You won't believe it. You got to see it.
Yeah, what? Definitely. Very spicy.
So yeah, and Dill, I don't know if you're back or not. Okay, so guys, you can find Dill on, I think it's on Tuesday on Group 2 solos. On the obviously TLA server, you know, hit them up. And as for me, for those who know, I'm part with Tainted Marv, the Fables of Kusaland Furies, and Star Knight Andy Lex on the Nothing Happened podcast. The only One Piece podcast where nothing happens. So check us out. We drop every Monday crazy takes that I can't talk about it because nothing ever happens on that podcast. But you should check it out. Honestly.
Yeah, it's a great podcast, and the quality, the production value of that is amazing. Starner Andy Lex, brilliant theorist, brilliant host as well. Like, I know we've got Vex as like our super giga Chad super host, but Andy is very good as well.
It's the opposite. If Andy is Joy Boy, then Vex compared to Andy, he's is Serious Boy. Andy has a spectrum, dude. He's a One Piece character all by himself. You don't know what's going to come up out of his
Spectrum Boy.
intro.
That's not quite a good enough name, I don't think. Okay, is there any other outros that anyone wants to do?
For those, because Nak had to hop off, as you know, you can find Nak on the TLABC 24/7 with Will of Dreams, Will of Fire, depending on where he goes on the chat. You know, hit them up. They always love talking One Piece. I'm also all the time on VC. Yeah. So yeah, we want to appreciate everyone for showing up.
Okay, we'll just stall for like 10 more seconds so I can open the window and I can stop the stream.
I'll end it. I've got it open.
Oh, you've got it open. Okay. Right, everybody, much love. You know where to find us. Check out all of our One Piece theories and tell us your One Piece theories. Much love. 3Day, thank you for being here. Kube, thank you for being here. Nak, amazing hosting as always, mate. You're beautiful. That just stunning stuff. And with that, good evening.
And we're done.
Perfect.